The giant crystal dome of the Galactic Council building was full of noise and angry voices. Ambassador Jinwoo from Earth sat in his small chair in the human section, watching all the alien creatures around him making fun of his people. His hands stayed calm on the metal table, even though the words coming through his translator device made him feel angry inside. The snake woman from the Vorthak planet raised her long, scaly neck high in the air and pointed one of her forearms at Jinwoo. Her scales were bright green and moved like water when she talked. She made a hissing sound that the translator changed into human words. "Look at these humans, everyone," the snake woman said with a mean voice. "They cannot even walk on flat floors without falling down like babies. They trip over their own feet every day. How did such clumsy, stupid creatures ever learn to build spaceships and fly between the stars?" All around the great dome, other alien creatures started nodding their heads and making agreement sounds. The Kelrani delegate, who looked like a giant blue octopus with 4 arms and 3 heads, made all his heads bob up and down at the same time. His skin changed colors from blue to purple when he got excited about something. "My scout ships have been watching the humans for many months now," the Kelrani said in his bubble voice. "The reports they send back are very funny to read. These humans cannot walk on our smooth metal floors without sliding around like they are on ice. They bump into walls and doors all the time. During their first training lessons with our weapons, they dropped their rifles and energy guns so many times that we had to put soft padding on all the floors." Jinwoo felt his face getting hot with shame because he knew that everything the aliens were saying was true. When the first human soldiers came to the alien training centers, they really did have trouble walking on the perfect smooth floors. Earth floors were made of dirt and rock and wood and concrete. They had bumps and holes and rough places where human feet could find grip. But alien floors were made of some kind of super smooth metal that was like walking on glass. The floating gas creature called Nexus drifted closer to the speaking area. It looked like a cloud of glowing yellow smoke that somehow could talk. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind blowing through empty caves. "Perhaps we should give the humans some simple jobs that even clumsy creatures can do," Nexus said with a voice that sounded like it was trying not to laugh. "Maybe they can clean the waste disposal systems on our ships, or scrub the floors in the engine rooms. Something safe where their clumsy nature will not get real warriors killed in battle." Loud laughter filled the crystal dome. All the different alien creatures made their own types of laughing sounds. The snake people hissed. The octopus people made gurgling bubble sounds. The rock creatures made grinding noises like stones rubbing together. The gas creatures made whooshing, wind sounds. Jinwoo sat very still and tried not to show how angry and hurt he felt inside. The military coordinator for the whole Galactic Council was a huge lizard creature called Orcs. He was 3 times taller than any human, and his skin looked like green armor plates. When he walked, his feet made heavy thudding sounds on the floor. His yellow eyes were as big as human hands, and they glowed in the dim light. Thorax pressed some buttons on his control panel, and suddenly the air above the center of the dome filled with moving pictures. The pictures showed human soldiers trying to learn how to fight in space and on alien worlds. The humans in the pictures looked very clumsy and stupid. "Watch this footage carefully," Thorax said in his deep voice that sounded like rocks falling down a mountain. "This is from the first joint training exercise between human soldiers and council forces. Notice how the humans float around helplessly when there is no gravity. See how they crash into the walls and spin out of control. Watch them accidentally shoot their weapons in the wrong directions." The pictures showed human soldiers bouncing off walls and spinning in circles in zero-gravity training rooms. Some of them threw up inside their helmets. Others got so dizzy they could not tell which way was up or down. When they tried to shoot at practice targets, they missed by huge distances and sometimes shot at completely wrong things. More pictures appeared showing humans trying to use alien weapons. The energy rifles were designed for creatures with 4 arms or tentacles or other body parts that humans did not have. Human soldiers struggled to hold the weapons properly. They pushed wrong buttons and made the guns do strange things. Some weapons overheated. Others would not fire at all. "Look at this example," Thorax said, pointing at one embarrassing picture. "This human soldier has managed to shoot himself in the foot with his own energy rifle. The weapon was pointed at an enemy target, but somehow the energy beam curved around and hit the soldier instead. We have never seen such complete incompetence with basic military equipment. The alien creatures in the dome made even more laughing sounds. Some of them were laughing so hard they were holding their stomachs or whatever body parts they used for stomachs. Thorax made the pictures change to show more examples of human military failures. There were scenes of human pilots crashing their small fighter ships into asteroids, pictures of human soldiers getting lost in simple maze training courses, videos of humans trying to march in formation but walking into each other instead. The Galactic Council faces a serious threat from the Void Hunter creatures. Thorax continued with his rumbling voice. These shadow beings have already destroyed 12 of our colony worlds in the outer regions of our galaxy. Millions of our people have died. We need military forces that are precise and skilled and reliable. Based on all evidence, the human species offers none of these necessary qualities. Jin Woo wanted to stand up and argue, but he knew he had to follow proper diplomatic rules. Earth needed this alliance with the Galactic Council very badly. Humans were still new to space travel, and there were many dangerous enemies among the stars. Without help from the advanced alien civilizations, humanity might not survive very long. The final vote was not even close. Every single alien delegation voted to restrict humans to support roles only. Humans would be allowed to clean spaceships and sort supply boxes and do other simple jobs. But they would never be trusted with real military duties or given any important combat assignments. When the voting finished, Jin Woo finally stood up from his chair. His voice carried clearly through the great crystal dome even though he spoke in a calm, quiet way. The Galactic Council has made its decision, and Earth accepts this judgment, Jin Woo said while looking directly at Thorax. However, Earth formally requests permission to prove our true worth when the right opportunity comes along. Thorax made a grinding, laughing sound that echoed off the dome walls. Opportunity, you say? You humans will be lucky if you do not accidentally blow up your own supply ships while trying to load boxes onto them. 3 months passed before the emergency alarm started screaming through every hallway and room in the Council command station. The sound was so loud and sharp that it hurt human ears, but the aliens seemed used to it. Red warning lights flashed, on and off, making strange shadows dance on the walls. Admiral Sujin from Earth was standing in the human observation area, watching the big tactical screens when the first reports started coming in. She had been a military officer for 20 years on Earth and had fought in many battles, but she had never seen alien technology like this before. The screens showed star maps with moving dots that represented spaceships. Red dots were enemies. Blue dots were friendly forces. Green dots were civilian ships trying to escape from danger. Right now there were far too many red dots and not nearly enough blue ones. Emergency report from Kepler Prime Mining Colony announced the Kelrani communications. Officer Void Hunter attack fleet has broken through all defensive perimeters. Colony shields failing rapidly. Civilian evacuation ships launching, but they need protection. Sujin pressed her communication device to talk to Ambassador Jin Woo, who was in a meeting 3 levels below. The Void Hunters have hit Kepler Prime. This is not a small raid. The tactical displays show at least 30 enemy ships attacking the colony. Through her earpiece, she heard Jin Woo take in a sharp breath. How long until our fleet arrives to help? Council forces are already engaging, but something is wrong, Sujin replied while studying the moving patterns on the screens. The enemy is not fighting the way they used to fight. They are staying far away from our ships and picking them off one at a time. On the main tactical screen, Sujin could see the problem. Clearly, the Void Hunter ships were positioned at the very edge of sensor range. Every few minutes, one of them would fire a single shot at a Council ship. The shot would hit perfectly and destroy the target completely. Then the Void Hunter ship would disappear before anyone could shoot back at it. The Vorthak fleet admiral was pacing back and forth in front of the tactical displays. Her scales were changing colors rapidly, which Sujin had learned meant the snake people were very upset or angry about something. This is impossible, the Vorthak admiral hissed loudly. Our best pilots cannot even see the enemy ships clearly. They are attacking from distances that should be too far for any weapon to be accurate. How are they hitting us every single time? They shoot. Sujin moved closer to get a better look at the numbers on the screen. The enemy ships were firing from distances of more than 40,000 kilometers. At those ranges, even the most advanced alien targeting computers had trouble locking onto targets. But somehow the Void Hunters were scoring perfect hits every time. Range to enemy contacts 41,000 kilometers and increasing reported. A 4-armed Kelrani sensor technician. Beyond effective range of all our standard weapon systems. Enemy accuracy rate 100%. Our return fire accuracy rate 0%. The massive lizard General Thorax slammed his armored fist down on the command console so hard that the metal dented. Sparks flew from damaged circuits and several smaller alien creatures jumped away in fear. This makes no sense at all, Thorax roared with his earthquake voice. How are these Void Hunter creatures achieving perfect accuracy at ranges where our own computers can barely detect them? Our targeting systems are the most advanced in the galaxy. Su Jin exchanged a meaningful look with Jin Woo, who had just arrived in the command center. They both understood something that the alien commanders did not see yet. This was not about having better computers or more powerful weapons. This was about something much more basic and much more human. Admiral Thorax, permission to offer consultation, Su Jin said using the formal military language required in council meetings. Permission denied. Thorax growled without looking at her. This is serious military planning, not time for maintenance. Personnel to give opinions. But Jin Woo stepped forward and used his diplomatic authority as Earth ambassador. As official representative of Earth, I formally request consultation time under Council emergency protocols. Human observations may provide useful tactical insights. The alien commanders looked at each other with expressions that clearly showed they thought this was a waste of time. But military protocol was military protocol even during emergencies. After several seconds of hesitation, they agreed to listen. Su Jin approached the main tactical display and pointed at the attack pattern shown on the screen. Look carefully at the timing between enemy shots. There is a rhythm here that suggests organic control rather than computer automation. Impossible, declared the floating Nexus creature. No living being could achieve such precision at these extreme distances. These must be advanced artificial intelligence systems. You are correct, Jin Woo said in a quiet voice that somehow carried clearly through the noisy command center. No alien creature could do this kind of shooting. But humans have been doing exactly this for thousands of years. Silence fell over the command center as the alien officers tried to understand what the humans were suggesting. Are you claiming that these Void Hunter creatures fight like humans? Asked Thorax with suspicion in his glowing yellow eyes. No. Su Jin replied, while continuing to study the tactical data. We are saying that they fight like snipers, and humans wrote the book on sniper warfare. Back on Earth in the mountains of Korea, Sergeant Dae-hyun was teaching his weekly rifle class when the emergency message arrived on his secure communication tablet. Around him, 20 young soldiers were practicing with traditional projectile weapons that most aliens considered completely useless relics from primitive times. The outdoor shooting range was built into a natural valley surrounded by tall pine trees and rocky hills. The targets were placed at various distances from 100 meters out to over 2,000 meters. Some targets were hidden behind rocks or trees. Others were placed on moving platforms that swayed in the mountain wind. Remember what your grandfather taught you about patience, Dae-hyun told his students as he read the urgent message. A good shot waits for the perfect moment. A great shot creates the perfect moment. Private Hae-jin raised her hand to ask a question. Sergeant, why do we still train with these old bullet weapons when the aliens have given us energy rifles that are much more powerful? Dae-hyun smiled and shouldered. His favorite rifle, which was a modified version of a weapon his own grandfather had carried in Earth Wars many years ago. The metal was worn smooth from years of use, and the wooden stock had small scratches and dents that told stories of old battles. Because, Private, these old weapons teach us things that energy rifles cannot, Dae-hyun explained while checking his rifle scope for the third time that day. Energy beams travel in straight lines at the speed of light. They are fast, but they are predictable. A bullet has mass and weight. It is affected by wind and gravity and air pressure and temperature. To hit a target with a bullet, you must understand the environment completely. He pointed at one of the distant targets that was barely visible as a small dot on a hillside. When I fire this rifle, The bullet will travel for over 3 seconds before it reaches that target. During those 3 seconds, many things can change. The wind can shift. The target can move. The temperature can affect the bullet path. A computer can calculate most of these factors, but it cannot feel them. The emergency message was from Admiral Sujin herself, requesting immediate deployment to the Void Hunter Crisis Zone. Daehyun read it twice carefully, then looked at his students with a serious expression. "Training session is finished for today," he announced. "Hae-jin, pack your equipment and tell your family you are going on a special mission. We are about to show the galaxy what human marksmanship really means." The journey to the battle zone took 18 hours on the fastest human transport ship available. During the long flight, Daehyun studied every piece of information about the Void Hunter creatures. They were shadow beings that lived in the empty spaces between stars. They could barely be seen even by the most advanced alien sensors, but they had physical bodies, which meant they could be targeted and destroyed. "Sir, how are we supposed to hit something that the aliens cannot even see clearly?" Hae-jin asked while they prepared their specialized equipment. Daehyun was cleaning his rifle for the 5th time during the trip. The aliens depend too much on their technology private. They have forgotten how to hunt. They point their sensors at an enemy and wait for computers to tell them where to shoot. But hunting is not about technology. Hunting is about understanding your prey. He pulled up star charts showing the battle area. These void hunters are not just randomly shooting at our ships. They are choosing their targets carefully. They are patient and methodical. They strike from long range, then disappear before anyone can respond. This tells us they are intelligent, and they understand tactics. Hae-jin studied the enemy attack patterns. They seem to prefer attacking damaged ships and smaller vessels. They avoid the big battleships with heavy armor. Exactly. Daehyun nodded approvingly. They are predators who choose weak prey. This means they can be predicted, and anything that can be predicted can be hunted. When their transport ship finally arrived at the Council command station, the situation had become desperate. The tactical displays showed that 12 more ships had been destroyed while they were traveling. The Void Hunters seemed to know exactly when and where to attack for maximum damage to the defending fleet. Admiral Sujin met them at the docking bay with worry lines around her eyes. "The enemy is still out there picking off our ships one by one. We have tried everything: long-range missiles, energy torpedoes, coordinated fleet attacks. Nothing works. They stay too far away for our weapons to be effective." Daehyun nodded while studying the tactical information on his portable display unit. "What is the longest successful engagement range achieved by Council forces so far?" 32,000 kilometers with our best targeting computers and a very lucky shot," Sujin answered. "But that was only one hit out of hundreds of attempts." "And the Void Hunters? Confirmed kills from distances over 40,000 kilometers with perfect accuracy every time they shoot." Daehyun smiled in a way that made Hae-jin remember why other soldiers sometimes called him the ghost of the mountain. "Then we will have to get much closer than that. Sir, the aliens say it is impossible to hit anything accurately at those ranges." "The aliens are wrong. Private," Daehyun replied while checking his equipment one more time. "They think shooting is about mathematics and computers, but real shooting is about becoming part of the environment. It is about feeling the target and understanding their intentions. Computers cannot do that. Only hunters can do that." As they walked through the corridors of the alien command station, toward the observation decks, many alien creatures stopped to stare at them. The humans looked very small compared to the giant lizard people and the multi-armed octopus creatures. Their simple projectile weapons looked like toys compared to the advanced energy rifles carried by alien soldiers. But Daehyun had learned long ago that in warfare the size of the weapon was not as important as the skill of the person using it, and he had been practicing this particular skill for his entire adult life. The observation deck of the Council command ship had huge transparent windows that showed the star field, where the Void Hunter creatures were hiding somewhere beyond the range of normal sensors. Daehyun set up his rifle and equipment very carefully, while dozens of alien officers watched him with expressions of curiosity and doubt. His rifle looked ancient and primitive compared to the shining energy weapons that the alien soldiers carried. It was basically a larger version of rifles that human soldiers had used for hundreds of years, modified to work in the vacuum of space, and loaded with special armor-piercing bullets designed to penetrate alien hull materials. "This is completely ridiculous," General Thorax muttered to one of his aide officers. "A single human with an obsolete weapon thinks he can succeed where our entire advanced fleet has failed miserably." But Admiral Sujin had positioned herself close to Dae-hyun, ready to coordinate and provide support. She had worked with human snipers during Earth military conflicts, and she understood something the aliens did not. The weapon itself was not what made the difference. The mind and skill of the person using the weapon was what mattered. "Haejin, begin environmental analysis," Dae-hyun ordered in a quiet voice as he settled into his shooting position behind the rifle. The young private activated her sensor equipment and began measuring everything that might affect a projectile traveling through space. Solar wind at 0.03% standard. Gravitational variance negligible. Electromagnetic interference within normal parameters. Cosmic radiation flux steady. These were factors that no alien computer ever calculated when aiming energy weapons, because energy beams traveled at light speed and were not affected by such tiny environmental variations. But bullets, even space-rated bullets, had physical mass and momentum that could be influenced by the smallest changes in conditions. "Movement detected," announced the ship sensor operator, who was a blue-skinned creature with 6 arms. "Unknown contact." Bearing 27 Mark IV distance approximately 39,000 kilometers, Dae-hyun turned his rifle smoothly toward that direction and looked through his advanced telescopic sight. Through the powerful optics, he could see nothing except stars and empty black space. But he had learned during many years of hunting that seeing was not always about light and vision. Sometimes it was about feeling the space where something should be. "Target acquired," he said in a calm, steady voice. The alien officers around him began making confused sounds in their various languages. Their most advanced sensors could barely detect the faintest possible contact, more like a ghost image than a real target. How could the human claim to have a clear target lock on something they could hardly even find? "Firing solution calculated." Dae-hyun continued speaking in the same quiet, calm tone. "Distance 39,200 meters. Compensation for solar wind, electromagnetic drift, and gravitational variance applied." His breathing became very slow and regular. His heartbeat settled into the steady rhythm that he had practiced for over 20 years of military service. Through his rifle scope, he could not see the enemy ship clearly, but he could sense where it was located based on the tiny sensor readings and his own combat experience. "Wait just a moment," Thorax interrupted with his rumbling voice. "You cannot possibly hit anything at that extreme range with such a primitive projectile weapon. Our own computers cannot achieve accuracy at those distances." Dae-hyun ignored the interruption and gently squeezed his rifle trigger. The bullet left the rifle barrel completely silent in the vacuum of space. It was a tiny piece of tungsten cord, metal following a precise ballistic path that Dae-hyun had calculated, using methods that combined computer assistance with human intuition and experience. Unlike energy weapons that announced their direction with bright visible beams, the bullet gave absolutely no warning of its approach. It was invisible as it traveled through space, guided only by the laws of physics and the skill of the marksman who had fired it. 37 seconds later, the ship sensors detected a massive energy explosion exactly where Dae-hyun had aimed his shot. "Impossible," whispered the Kelrani sensor operator while checking his readings 3 times. "Direct hit confirmed. Enemy target completely destroyed." Every alien officer in the observation deck stared at Dae-hyun in complete shocked silence. He was already moving his rifle to scan for the next target, without showing any emotion about his successful shot. "That was their forward scout," he explained matter-of-factly. "The other Void Hunter ships will be changing positions now that they know they are being hunted. Haejin, update all environmental calculations." "Yes, sir." "Detecting multiple movement. Patterns consistent with evasive maneuvering tactics." For the next 2 hours, Dae-hyun worked methodically through the Void Hunter positions like a patient predator stalking prey. Each shot required careful calculation, precise timing, and absolute concentration. He had to account for the movement of his own ship, the predicted movement of the target, and dozens of environmental factors that could affect bullet trajectory over such extreme distances. The alien officers watched in growing amazement as contact after contact disappeared from their sensors eliminated by a human with what they had considered a completely worthless, primitive weapon. Some of the shots took over an hour to set up as Daehyun waited for perfect conditions. Others required multiple repositioning movements as targets tried to evade. By the time the engagement was completely finished, 7 Void Hunter vessels had been destroyed, and the remaining enemy ships had retreated to safer areas far from the human sniper. The civilian evacuation from Kepler Prime was able to continue without further attacks. 7 confirmed kills at ranges exceeding our maximum effective distance. Admiral Soo-jin reported to the alien commanders. Average engagement time per target 43 minutes. 0 missed shots. 0 friendly casualties during the entire operation. The alien officers continued staring at Daehyun as if he was some kind of magical creature, instead of just a human soldier who had trained very hard at his military specialty. The great crystal dome of the Galactic Council chambers was completely silent, as Admiral Soo-jin stood at the central speaking platform to present her detailed after-action report. The same alien representatives who had laughed at human clumsiness 3 months earlier now listened with expressions of amazement and respect. Sergeant Daehyun achieved 7 confirmed enemy kills at ranges that exceeded our maximum effective combat distance. Soo-jin reported in a clear, formal voice. Average engagement time per target was 43 minutes. Total shots fired 7. Total shots that hit target 7. 0 missed shots during the entire operation. 0 friendly casualties or damaged ships during the engagement. The snake woman from Vorthak shifted nervously in her coiled position, making her scales rustle. Like dry leaves, this seems completely impossible to achieve. How did one primitive projectile weapon succeed where our entire advanced fleet with hundreds of ships failed to make any impact? Ambassador Jin Woo stood up to address the full assembly. His diplomatic manner was calm and professional, but Soo-jin could see the deep satisfaction in his eyes as he prepared to explain what had really happened. The Honorable Council made an error in judgment based on incomplete information, Jin Woo said while activating a holographic display that showed images of Earth. You observed humans having difficulty walking on smooth alien floors and concluded that we were universally clumsy and incompetent. But you failed to understand the important difference between temporary unfamiliarity and permanent inability. The holographic display changed to show Earth geography with its varied terrain and challenging environments. Humans evolved on a world with mountains and valleys, forests and deserts, snow and rain, and constantly changing weather patterns. We learned to hunt dangerous predators that could hear us approaching from many kilometers away, in environments that changed unpredictably from day to day. More images appeared showing human history and development. For thousands of years we fought. Wars that required individual skill, personal judgment, and the ability to make correct decisions under extreme pressure in rapidly changing situations. We did not have advanced computers or energy weapons, so we were forced to become the computers and the weapons ourselves. The octopus creature Thorax leaned forward with all 3 of his heads focused intently. But your soldiers performed very poorly during our joint training exercises. They were clumsy, inefficient, and unable to adapt to our superior technology. They were learning. Jin Woo replied with patience. Humans are very good at adapting to new situations when given enough time and proper motivation. Give us smooth floors, and we will learn to walk on them gracefully. Give us zero-gravity environments, and we will learn to move like we were born in space. Give us an enemy that believes technology alone can win any war, and we will demonstrate the continuing value of human instinct and experience. Admiral Soo-jin added her own military perspective to the explanation. Sergeant Daehyun did not simply point his rifle and pull the trigger. He studied the environment carefully, understood the enemy psychology, and predicted their movement patterns based on years of combat experience. No computer program can replicate that kind of intuitive tactical analysis. The floating gas creature. Nexus drifted closer to the speakers. Are you claiming that humans are naturally superior warriors compared to other galactic species? No, we are not making that claim, Jin Woo answered with complete honesty. We are explaining that humans bring different capabilities to military operations. Your species have advanced far beyond the need for individual combat skills. You rely on superior technology and coordinated large-scale fleet actions. But sometimes the solution to a tactical problem is not more advanced technology. Sometimes, the solution requires more human thinking. Private Hai-Jin, who had been quietly sitting in the observation gallery, raised her hand to request permission to speak. After some hesitation and discussion, the council decided to allow her to address the assembly. "Honored representatives of the Galactic Council," she said carefully, using the formal language she had been practicing, "Sergeant Dae-hyun taught me, that precision shooting is not really about the weapon you are using. It is about understanding everything that exists between you and your target. The space, the time, the environment, the enemy mind. Humans learned to do this because our survival depended on it for thousands of years. Perhaps that experience is what makes us useful to this alliance." The great chamber fell into thoughtful silence as hundreds of alien minds considered this new perspective on warfare and military capability. They had built their entire military philosophy on the concept of overwhelming technological superiority. The idea that individual skill and experience could be more valuable than advanced computer systems was completely revolutionary to their way of thinking. Finally, General Thorax spoke in his deep rumbling voice. "The Galactic Council owes humanity a formal apology. We misjudged your military capabilities based on insufficient information and incorrect assumptions. Your apology is gratefully accepted," Jinwoo replied with diplomatic grace. "But more importantly, we hope this demonstration shows that every species in our alliance brings unique, valuable strengths to our common defense. Humans may not possess the most advanced technology or the most powerful energy weapons, but we have developed capabilities that can make important contributions to our joint military efforts." The Vorthak snake woman raised one of her 4 arms. "What specific roles do you propose for human military personnel in future council operations?" Su-jin stepped forward to answer. "We suggest creating mixed human-alien special operations units that combine human tactical instincts and precision, skills with alien technology and resources. Based on this successful engagement, we believe such units would be extremely effective against enemies that rely on long-range precision attacks." The vote to fully integrate human military forces into council operations was unanimous. Even more, surprising, the aliens requested that human instructors be assigned to train their own soldiers in precision warfare techniques that had never existed in their military doctrines. As the session ended, Jinwoo reflected on how completely the situation had changed. Earth had expected to serve as junior partners in the Galactic Alliance for many decades, while slowly catching up to alien technology levels. Instead, they had found their place as specialists in combat skills that other species had forgotten they needed. 6 months after the Void Hunter crisis, the Galactic Council had established its first joint human-alien special operations training center on a small moon orbiting the Council headquarters world. Lieutenant Dae-hyun, who had been promoted after his successful mission, stood before a classroom full of students from 12 different alien species, teaching them combat principles that had never been part of their military education. "Long-distance precision shooting is not about mathematics and computer calculations," he explained to his very attentive mixed class of humans and aliens. "Mathematics and computers can get you close to the target, but instinct and experience are what get you actual hits on target." The classroom was specially designed to accommodate different alien body types. There were tall perches for the bird-like creatures, low pools for the aquatic species, and various-sized chairs and desks for everyone else. Despite their physical differences, all the students were equally focused on learning human combat techniques. Among his most dedicated students was former General Thorax, who had voluntarily requested transfer from Fleet Command to Special Operations, training after witnessing the effectiveness of human precision warfare methods. The massive lizard creature was having difficulty adapting his fighting style, but he worked harder than any other student. "Lieutenant Dae-hyun," Thorax asked while holding an energy rifle that had been modified with human-style optical sights. "My species has naturally excellent vision and very steady hands, but I cannot achieve anywhere near your accuracy levels. What important factor am I missing?" Dae-hyun smiled with patient understanding. "You are still thinking like a machine general. calculate distance, adjust for environmental factors, aim, weapon, fire weapon. But that approach does not work for real hunting situations. You must become part of the environment, feel the target intentions, and understand their fear and desperation. Corporal Hai-Jin, who had been promoted to instructor despite her young age, was working with a group of Kelrani students on basic marksmanship principles. Her natural talent for precision shooting had earned her a permanent position at the training center. The void hunter creatures we fought were not just using advanced sensor technology. She explained to her four-armed blue students. They were patient, careful, and methodical in their approach. They understood that warfare is not only about firepower and technology. It is also about psychology and timing. Lieutenant Daehyun defeated them by being more patient, more careful, and more methodical than they were. The results of integrating human combat specialists into Council military operations had exceeded everyone's expectations. Mixed units that combined human tactical thinking with alien technology were proving extraordinarily effective against various threats throughout the galaxy. Combat casualty rates had dropped by over 60% since humans began serving in active combat roles instead of just support positions. But perhaps more importantly for long-term relations, the alien species were learning to see humans in a completely different way. The clumsy newcomers who had tripped over smooth floors had revealed themselves as adaptable, innovative, and extremely dangerous when properly trained and motivated. Admiral Su Jin, now serving as overall coordinator for human-alien military cooperation, was reviewing casualty and effectiveness reports in her new office aboard the Council headquarters station. The statistics showed remarkable improvement in mission success rates whenever human specialists were included in combat operations. A priority communication alert interrupted her work. Another crisis was developing in the far Outer Rim territories, and the Council was requesting immediate deployment of multiple human special operations teams to deal with the situation. Sujin smiled with satisfaction as she approved the deployment orders and began coordinating transportation for the requested teams. The galaxy was an enormous and dangerous place filled with countless threats that required different approaches and solutions to defeat successfully. Some enemies needed to be overwhelmed with massive firepower and superior numbers. Other threats required advanced technology and sophisticated electronic warfare capabilities, but some enemies could only be defeated by meeting them with a patient human sniper who had learned to shoot straight, stay calm under pressure, and never miss when lives depended on accuracy. Ambassador Jin Woo was in his diplomatic quarters preparing reports for Earth government when he received news of the latest deployment. He paused in his writing to look out the window at the busy space traffic around the Council headquarters. Hundreds of ships from dozens of different worlds came and went every day, carrying trade goods, diplomatic messages, and military supplies. Earth had entered this galactic community expecting to spend many years as inexperienced junior members while slowly learning to match alien technological capabilities. Instead, humans had discovered their unique value as the Alliance specialists in individual combat excellence and tactical innovation. The Galactic Council had initially thought humans were too clumsy to be trusted with important military responsibilities. They had learned instead that humans were natural-born hunters, and in the vast, dangerous darkness of space, there would always be something that needed to be hunted down and eliminated by someone with the right combination of skill, patience, and determination to get the job done correctly. The transformation was complete. Humans were no longer seen as clumsy maintenance workers. They were now recognized and respected as the galaxy's most effective precision combat specialists, and the alien species were eager to learn everything they could from human military instructors about the ancient art of warfare.